Another top story, police have blamed what they call criminal opportunists for the looting and torching of Spaza Shops in Pretoria. The violent scenes follow the murder of a taxi driver yesterday in the CBD in Tshwane, and taxi drivers protesting against that, blaming drug dealers. Officials are expected to meet relevant stakeholders to restore calm in the capital city. Meanwhile, Tshwane Mayor Stevens Mokgalapa has condemned the violence and conveyed his condolences to the family of that slain taxi driver, Jabu Baloyi. For more on this, we're joined by our reporter Sipho Stuurman from Pretoria. Sipho, just tell us the scenes you saw today and describe the situation now.
Well, a very good evening to you, Francis, and our viewers at home. We're coming from Pretoria CBD here in Stuurman Street, in fact several meters away from the scenes that we saw earlier. The scenes where, of course, several Spaza shops believed to belong to foreign nationals were looted and set alight. Of course, that fire has since been contained by the rescue and fire operations team, and the looting eventually was the police managed to take control of the situation in terms of stopping the looting of the shops and dispersing the crowds that were gathered there. Earlier I had reported that, of course, when we arrived at the scene, I think very early in the morning, the police were really just outnumbered, they were outpowered, and they could not do anything to stop the looting. Instead, they were bystanders alongside ourselves and just watching this looting as it unfolded. The torching of the Spaza shops happened in front of the eyes of the police that were there, but eventually, of course, the reinforcements did come through and they were able then to stabilize the situation. You mentioned there that meeting between the stakeholders. The stakeholders include Tshwane Metro Police and taxi operators, and as I understand it, the stakeholders, the meeting has already taken place, and we are told that they will release a statement regarding the events that have happened today. But of course, it must be emphasized that the taxi operators say that their concern is that they do not want the selling of drugs near the taxi rank, that is the taxi rank here in Stuurman Street, in Blood Street. But they're saying that they have they do not support the violence activities that has happened here. They're saying that it's criminal elements that have taken over a genuine cause. Francis.
Sipho, try and unravel this for us, because how was the selling of drugs involved in the murder of a taxi driver yesterday, which led to taxi drivers protesting, which led to opportunists joining, foreign nationals apparently targeted? Just tell us how this all unraveled.
All right, well, it's been quite a number of set of events here, but let's go back to yesterday, that is Tuesday. What has happened Tuesday, taxi operators in and around Blood Street here, and this is Stuurman Street here, decided to take matters into their own hands and clean up the streets of Pretoria, from what they call street drug sellers, nyawupe, drugs such as nyawupe, that is. And they said that they found that the police were not doing enough in terms of taking care of the streets near the taxi rank, and they said they do not want that kind of activity, such as drugs activities near the taxi rank. But then what has happened is that when they entered the streets to try and clean up as part of this initiative, what ensued between the taxi operators and the people that they were targeting was some scuffles that ensued between them, and as a result a shot was fired and it hit a taxi driver who was then fatally wounded. And so what we saw then this morning was what we can call perhaps the retaliation of the events that had happened yesterday, the events that led to a taxi driver being killed, because very early this morning there were trucks that were stationed blockading that is Stuurman Street and Lilian Street. So you can tell that this was a planned protest. However, then it escalated because there was not enough police presence initially. It escalated to that looting and violence scene and the torching of the Spaza shops. Francis.
All right, so incredibly complex, incredibly violent today, and of course we'll continue to monitor the situation in Pretoria. That was Sipho Stuurman.